everybody, it's I, Zankoku, and bringing you a video here. It is my review of the new Ghostbusters movie, Ghostbusters 2016. And I just saw it today, and here is my immediate reactions to the movie. A while ago, I did a video about the whole controversy about the trailers. James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd who decided not to watch the movie or not to do a review either, and all kinds of like accusations of sexism and misogyny because there's this huge backlash about the movie because the trailers sucked and bombed, and you can watch all of that if you want to. I had my concerns, however, in that same video I did say that I was still going to watch the movie because I'm still hoping that we get a good Ghostbusters movie because I love Ghostbusters. Even the second one, I thought Ghostbusters 2 was pretty dang good. So I'm a crazy person anyways, let that be a preface, but I love the Ghostbusters movies, either the cartoon show. So, what did I think about Ghostbusters 2016? Oh, by the way, I have had a few alcoholic beverages. Not because the movie was so horrible, just because I'm on vacation and I want to drink alcohol on my days off. Because I'm a sad, lonely boy. Anyways, so, Ghostbusters 2016. I'm going to start with the bad and end with the good, because let's end positively anyways. So, what did I not like about the Ghostbusters movie? And really, I'm going to preface this at the beginning. The movie is not a bad movie. It is not trash. It is not garbage. Is the movie a great movie? No. No, it's not. But we'll get to that later. But let's get on to what I didn't like. So the first and biggest thing that I did not like was the ghosts. And I said that in the previous video, because based on what the trailer was, the ghosts looked too cartoony, too bright, too CG. They didn't have that sort of, transparent, fuzzy, ethereal, are they real, are they not real type of effect to them. And this stuff just was bad. And in the trailer, in the real movie, yes, they were all pretty bad. They were all pretty cartoony. And it was ridiculous, and I couldn't take it seriously. I mean, it's a movie about Ghostbusters, but still, I just didn't like it, and that's my opinion. So there you go. So there's that. The next thing is the characters themselves. Now, what was really great about the original was that core of Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Harold Ramis. They worked so well. I mean, Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis's characters, they didn't have to try. They felt naturally geeky. The way that Dan Aykroyd delivered his lines, with Class 5 apparition, vapors, and the way they bounced all this science nerd mumbo-jumbo across each other, it felt genuine. It didn't feel forced. It felt like these were actual characters. They weren't trying to be over the top with things. They weren't trying to be nerds. They just were nerds. And it worked, and it was wonderful. And Peter Venkman, I want to say Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was supposed to be in the original Ghostbusters, but he did not go and be in Ghostbusters, so they sort of had to rewrite his character, and that's how we got the Ernie Hudson's character. Was it Winston? Anyways, so Bill Murray's character, Peter Venkman, was kind of like, he was still a scientist, but he was more the average guy with scientific knowledge, but he was more about, chasing the skirts and getting the digits of the girls and taking them home for some loving, kind of a sleazy guy. And then, of course, you had Ernie Hudson's character comes in later, and he was the everyday guy. He was the average man. He was the layman. He was us watching these scientists do these things and talk about ridiculous stuff and witnessing them, and him just kind of like boiling down to real humanity. And it worked wonderful because everyone felt genuine. Everyone felt right. It felt natural. They worked well off of each other, and nothing felt forced or over-exaggerated. The movie, even though a ridiculous movie, they felt like they were serious, and everything was serious to them. And the comedy worked well because no one, maybe Bill Murray, no one else was really trying to be funny. They just allowed the natural humor of the dialogue, of the script, of the situation to occur. With this movie, everything feels really forced. It does. I mean, from the beginning, we don't have that cohesive unit of those three scientists. In fact, they're shattered. The two main characters, which is Elizabeth McCarthy and then the redhead girl, which I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, but I don't. They're separated. They had a falling out. One really believes in the ghost. One dropped all that stuff so that she can get ahead in academia. And they got pushed together back because of circumstances. And all of a sudden, because of like one thing, oh yeah, now they're best friends again, which it felt forced, because it was forced. It didn't feel natural. It would have been a lot better if it was like the original. They were already a unit together. And let's say, you know, the character, the third scientist, I don't know, I think her last name is McKinnon or whatever. She's just over the top, just insane. Her character is insane. Her performance is just way over the top. I mean, literally, she's winking at the camera. At least I got the opinion that she would say something just batshit insane, and she should be like, "Yeah, I'm crazy. I'm a crazy wild girl." And I didn't get that geek nerd thing. I mean, maybe a little bit with Melissa McCarthy. But when they're bantering about, you know, the Class 5 vapors and the apparitions and it just didn't feel it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel natural. It felt like they were not taking it seriously at all. And I just didn't get the nerd vibe from anyone except maybe the redhead girl. I mean, it just didn't work on the same level. They didn't feel genuine, and honestly, that crazy girl was more like a cartoon character than a real human being. I mean, literally, she was just over the top, and I don't know if that was because the director just said, "Hey, play with it," like that, or he you know, he made the mistake of just allowing her to do that. If she just decided that's how she was going to play the role, or if that was completely intended. Either way, it was a failure. Either a failure of the script, or a failure of the director, or a failure of the actor, or all of them, to allow something like that, because it was ridiculous. I mean, sure, she did have some good moments. There was some funny lines. The line where she said that this is how she imagined she would die was very funny. But for the most part, she was just a nut job. A nut job. Not, I mean, like, you know, I know they wanted to go crazy scientist, but if she was the Egon character, she did a disservice to the memory of Egon, because Egon may have been not well balanced, but he wasn't a complete goofball, over-the-top comic book, not even comic book, just like Cartoon Network character for 4-year-olds. And that just really pissed me off and really kind of annoyed me. Melissa McCarthy's a little bit grating from here and there. And then let's just say Leslie Jones. See, like, I know two people's names and maybe a third. But Leslie Jones, her character was just the stereotypical loud black woman. Not even a scientist. And that's another thing that annoyed me, because, you know, you could do a little respect and not be so stereotypical. Like I said, the character of Winston, played by Ernie Hudson, he was not some over-the-top, stereotypical black guy. He was the every dude, and she technically should have been the everyone that brought, you know, a relationship to these other people, because we could relate to her, because we're the layman. We don't know all about this scientific mumbo-jumbo and all this paranormal research stuff. She was the everyday person, but she blows out any kind of relatability by being just this comedy caricature of the loud black woman, which is sad, because she actually had some really good lines and some really funny moments when she turned it down, when they allowed her to not be. And once again, is it the script? Is it the director? Was it her? I mean, there was a failure there. I mean, if they could have toned those people down, made them more cohesive, it would have been a better movie. Literally, it probably would have been a good movie, if not a great movie. If they could have fixed those very horrible problems with the characters and the script. Honestly, that is probably the number one thing that drags this movie down. I know, I think I said number one that was the number one on my list. I'm saying the number one overall that has made a bad impression is this thing. And everything else kind of flows from that because the movie feels more like it's just not serious. It's more like I get the feeling with the original Ghostbusters, and I'm sorry, but I have to compare it with the original because it is a reboot, a remake, so inevitably human nature. Compare it to the original. The original felt like an adult comedy that appealed to children, while this felt like maybe it was an adolescent comedy that tried to appeal to adults. And that's not how it was. There's the humor between the two felt like night and day. I mean, we had too many fart jokes and you know, silly, you know, immature humor. Yes, there was some immature humor in there, but it felt more serious. It felt more real. This felt forced. This felt like gag after gag for gag's sake. And a lot of it kind of fell flat, and that's a big problem. In a comedy, if your jokes are being fired at you rapidly, and most of them are missing, then you start to get bored. And especially like that first part of the movie, I was getting really upset because of all this stuff happening, and it really annoyed me. Another big problem with this film is that the narrative is not smooth. It is not smooth. I don't know what they were thinking, but there's just these like cuts that happen that are jarring, where, you know, all of a sudden you're like you're here and then you're there, and then you're over here, and then you're over here, and then you have to take a moment, take yourself out of the movie, and readjust where you are in the movie, and that's not a good thing. You can't. You want your narrative to be smooth and not jarring, and unfortunately, that's what happened with this movie, and it was quite annoying indeed. And another thing is Chris Hemsworth. He's just a stupid person, and the bad of it is he just seems to get stupider as the movie goes, and you know, just. You can have them be stupid, but you don't have to bang us over the head with it. And let's just be honest. After a while, you're just like, yeah, okay, whatever. He's dumb. Wow, let's you know, not make it a central focus. Maybe a background focus, that would be better. A more subtle approach to his stupidity would be great. So you've got that, and then you've got probably like a crappy villain. It is like I wanted it to be more supernatural centered, have a supernatural villain, but instead we have a human who's of course ticked off at the world and he wants to bring about the apocalypse because he got bullied when he was a kid, which I guess sends the message that you know, bullied kids are gonna grow up to be monsters, so let's not bully. Which is, no, we should be helping the bully, you know, grow up and not become monsters, and, you know, stop bullies by, you know, having them become human, as opposed to like, well, you're going to create a monster that will destroy the world. No, let's try to be a human being. How about that? How about let's be fucking human beings? How about that? No, whatever. Anyways, so there's the bad, okay? So, summary, ghosts look god-awful. The characters, just too over the top, don't feel that same natural cohesion. They felt very synthetic, forced, trying to be just too goofy, not really handling it in any kind of level of seriousness. The plot starts going all over the place. The movie just shifts. And then, of course, you know, the stupidity of the secretary and the bad final boss, I guess you would say. So, what about the good things? Well, let me tell you. So, the first thing that I want to talk about, and probably one of the strongest parts about this movie, is that I went and watched it in 3D. So before I said that, I watched this in 3D because someone said, if you're going to watch it in 3D. Trust me, watch it in 3D. So I did watch it in 3D, put in on an extra couple bucks, and boy, the 3D was surprising. The 3D was done really well. They used a wider ratio, so there was letterboxing at the theater. But they did that on purpose so that they could get stuff outside of the letterboxing, which completely enhanced the 3D effect. When that first ghost from the trailer spews ectoplasm all over what's-her-name, it shoots right out, and you're like, it's like coming right at you. I mean, honestly, it's probably one of the best 3D experiences I've had. Now, I haven't seen everything in 3D, but I've seen quite a few. And it's one of those things that make me actually want to buy the 3D Blu-ray when it comes out, because I got a 3D TV, to see if that experience translates home. So, plus the movie itself isn't that horrible that I'm totally against purchasing a copy of it. So let's get on to some other good things. Honestly, the 3D just coming out is an idea that other movies that are going to utilize 3D should look into, because that's how they do it right. Another thing is the movie is well-paced. It is well-paced. It didn't feel like it meandered. It did not feel boring. Some of the gags, sure, bad. But overall, there was enough comedy. Yes, there were times that I laughed. Nothing hilarious, nothing belly laugh, but there was like a lot of chuckles and a lot of moments of, like, you know, enjoyment. Plus, there was a decent amount of action, so they're giving you some stuff to help get you through what would otherwise be kind of a mundane and average and boring movie. So yes, there was enough comedy and enough action to get me through the movie to say that I was, you know, instead of saying I was not entertained and this movie is crap, the 3D effects, the action, and what comedy that worked well enough for me to go, hey, you know what? This is all right. This is okay. It's okay. So we have that. The Chris Hemsworth character was a bright spot, even though they really hammered you over the head with the stupidity stuff. A lot of the stuff that he did in the movie was pretty funny, like when he had the original interview and he's wearing glasses and his eye itched and he put his finger through the lens hole. And at first I'm like, what? And then the characters, you know, the ladies picked up on it and went, oh, what? Hey, why did you? So, and that was pretty funny. The phone interactions with him I thought were funny. And then, of course, in the end, the scene with the sandwich, I thought was pretty funny. So, honestly, like, his performance was pretty good. Leslie Jones, outside of the stereotypical, I thought she did a pretty good job. The scenes where she brought it down and was not like a caricature were really good, and she had some really funny moments and funny lines, and I thought that if they would have just toned that down, the same thing with McKinnon, if they would have just said, hey, cut it to 6, maybe 7, but let's not go to 11, it would have been better. I think they wasted Melissa McCarthy's abilities, because I don't think she was all that funny in this movie. And honestly, the redhead girl, the redhead lady, God, like I said, I'm kind of a little inebriated. She was fine most of the time. She was supposedly the straight man, and even though she was kind of goofy, I think her over-infatuation with Chris Hemsworth's character was funny and amusing, and I like that line, that running joke throughout the movie. And so there's that. The end credits were actually entertaining to watch. They continued to utilize the 3D through the end credits, and there was an after credits scene after all the credits. So if you are going to watch this, stay till after the credits. It's not going to be a boring black and white credit reel. There's going to be action and stuff going on, which is really good, really smart move. And you'll get kind of like a nod to the old movie in that end credit and sort of a, I guess, taste, a little tease of a sequel, which they might get, even though it's banned in China, which is going to be tough, because I don't know if domestically they're going to make enough money to warrant a sequel, but we'll see. So, the strong parts is awesome 3D effects, has enough comedy and action to make it entertaining, and Chris Hemsworth and Leslie Jones, when she's allowed to be human, works great. And even the McKinney's or whatever her character, when she's allowed to be human, was alright, but she wasn't allowed to be human like 99% of this film. She was just crazy, insane. But she had some good lines. They all had good lines. There were pieces, and that's one of the things that is kind of disappointing, well, is disappointing about this movie, is that there is a core. There is a core to this movie that could work if they would just fix some of the issues. Because honestly, the Ghostbusters idea is just an entertaining idea when you think about it. And they just failed in the execution. If they could have just really just redone a bunch of things, toned down some of the acting, made them more cohesive, do something different with the ghosts, do something different with the plot, this movie would have probably been great. Instead, the movie is just average. It's okay. You know what? If I were to give it a score, I would give it a 2.6 because it's just above average. It's got enough there for me to watch and go, I'm entertained, and you know what? I didn't mind the movie. But there is enough problems there to make you go, yes, the first part of the movie, come on, seriously, guys. Okay, I have to drop it and kind of buy into it. Once you buy into it, then you can kind of start enjoying it more. But the problem is you want them to capitalize on the potential, and there is a lot of potential there. And honestly, I kind of want a sequel because I hope they will learn from the mistakes of this one and tone it down a little bit in certain areas and readjust things, and they could actually make a great film. And that's the problem with this movie, is that there's a great film in there, but they just didn't make it. They squandered their opportunities. They failed in the implementation of the movie. The fact that it was an all-female cast had really nothing to do with it. Honestly, their gender meant nothing to 99% of the movie. And the 1% that it did matter, whatever. It wasn't going to change anything one way or the other. So, it's an okay movie. It's okay. It's not bad, but, I can't say it's good. It's okay. And, when I start saying, well, it's good, that, if it's not good, then it's the opposite of not good is bad. And, it's kind of like a middle ground in there. So, there you have it. Ghostbusters 2016. Did you watch the movie? Tell me what you think. Put it in the comments. And I am going to maybe go back and drink some more. I don't know. So, you guys stay... I'm going to say scary, but I guess that's not really I guess you guys stay at 7 or 6. Don't go up to 11. Internet. Blah.